Okay, welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here is pretty simple.
Yeah.
We take a stack of sources, articles, research notes, you name it, and basically cut through the noise.
Yeah, to pull out those crucial insights you need to get informed fast.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we're digging into publications straight from Infodrone.
Right, covering the second half of May 2025. So that's May 15th right through to the 31st.
And our focus, it's all about the dynamic world of real estate and urban planning. What's happening across Greater Montreal.
And, using a platform like Infodrone, as these sources highlight, is interesting because it's so current.
It changes daily, doesn't it?
Daily. Mobile, web, text, audio. And that library section is key. You can always go back and check out past topics.
Good point. So based only on this, let's say, 2-week snapshot from these specific sources, we're going to explore what's been shifting and developing.
And you'll see, it's quite a mix.
Oh, yeah. Major construction reshaping whole areas, but also, subtle urban redesigns.
Environmental initiatives, new community spaces, it's all in there.
All right, let's unpack this. First up, maybe we should look at some of those major urban transformations. The ones really making waves according to the sources. Griffintown, for instance.
Griffintown, yeah, right by the Lachine Canal. The sources actually call its change a spectacular transformation.
And you can see why, right? The sources detail how it's really becoming a destination.
It's more than just buildings going up. It's attracting, well, everyone. Residents, investors, visitors. It's that combination of big residential projects, new public areas, and its location.
Prime location, definitely. And part of that buzz seems to be this new Griffintown Market project.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. The sources say it's inspired by European markets.
So fresh produce, local stuff.
That's the idea. Fresh, local, artisanal products. But it's meant to be more than just, stalls.
Like a community hub.
Exactly. Food service, places to relax, even cultural events are planned. So yeah, a real hub, not just somewhere to shop.
And speaking of scale, there's that big new residential complex from Mondev starting construction there.
Oh yeah, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. It's a 3-phase project. Eventually, 750 units total.
Wow. When does that kick off?
Phase 1 is set for September 2025. That's a 15-story building, 155 units. Estimate is around $61 million.
Just for phase 1. And phase 2 isn't far behind.
Nope. Planned for early 2026. Another 15-story tower, but bigger, 312 units. That one's estimated at $135 million.
That really shows the level of investment going into Griffintown. And there's a third phase, too.
Correct. Another building at 280 Rue Young. That'll add about 280 more units to the total count.
So this is a multi-year effort, clearly. How long does the construction take for each part?
The estimate is about 30 months per phase. It really underscores that long-term physical reshaping that's happening.
Okay, so moving from those really big signature projects, the sources also talk about specific neighborhoods finding their feet again or defining their identity. District Central, for example.
Right, in Ahuntsic-Cartierville, that area historically known as Chabanel.
The old Garant District, yeah.
Exactly, the heart of fashion and textiles. And the sources point to a deliberate revival happening now. There's this collective push, it seems, for local production again.
Is there an organization driving that?
Absolutely. The SDC District Central, that's the Local Business Development Corporation, they've been active since 2016, bringing together almost 800 businesses.
And still focused on that traditional base.
Very much so. Design, textiles, manufacturing. It looked like a real strategic effort to rebuild that economic core, but, for today's world.
Interesting. Now, the sources also mentioned San Michel as one of 3 neighborhoods to rediscover. What's the story there?
San Michel is where that ambitious Circus Arts District project is taking shape, led by TUU.
TUU, right? The big circus arts organization.
Yeah. And their project isn't just about circus. It's focused on culture, ecology, and social inclusion. It's a conscious effort to revitalize an area that's been, historically marginalized.
Associated with Miran quarry and industry.
Exactly. So they're using culture and greening as the catalyst for change.
And Lachine is another one of these 3 neighborhoods.
That's right. Lachine is seeing the rebirth of Place 59 Saint-Pierre. The sources call it a social economy beacon.
What does that mean in practice? A social economy beacon?
It seems to mean a multifunctional space designed specifically to boost the local economy, encourage social inclusion, and build solidarity.
Sounds very targeted.
Yeah.
Are there specific plans for it?
Yes, the sources mention things like training workshops, co-working spaces, markets for local producers, all aimed at making the space active and fulfilling that social mission.
And the third neighborhood mentioned alongside Lachine and Saint-Michel.
Point Claire, highlighted for its authenticity, diversity, and richness.
So the message is really to look beyond the usual spots.
I think so. Appreciate the unique character and the focused efforts happening in these different parts of Greater Montreal.
Okay, let's shift gears. Let's dive into the wider real estate and housing dynamics. Laval seems to be experiencing quite a boom.
Unprecedented. That's the word the sources use. Just in the first 4 months of 2025, 1,300 units were under construction there.
1,300 in 4 months. That pace is incredible.
It really is. If it keeps up, Laval could hit a record 4,000 new units by the end of the year. And what's really striking is what kind of units.
Mostly rentals, I saw.
Overwhelmingly, 96% of those new constructions are rentals.
Wow. So this boom is really a rental market boom. How does that 4,000 compare historically for Laval?
It's way up. The historical average is more like 2,000 units a year.
Yeah.
The previous record was 334 back in 2008. So yeah, 4,000 would be a substantial jump, almost all rental.
And the sources link this to efforts to speed up social housing development in Laval, too.
Yes, they highlight that Laval's actively working on that. Things like simplifying approvals, freeing up city land, more support for developers focused on social housing.
Are there projects already underway?
Sources mention construction in Chambéry, Pont-Vieux, Saint-François, and the goal is specifically inclusive, sustainable environments, often near transit, with community spaces built in.
Saint Laurent is also adding housing.
Right. 249 new units there trying to meet demand. It's a mix. Apartments, townhouses, multifamily units, modern, affordable options is the description.
And they mentioned green space integration there, too.
Yeah, the sources make a point of that, integrating green spaces and community infrastructure. So it suggests a focus beyond just, cramming in units.
Now, there was a really specific kind of innovative project mentioned about intergenerational housing.
Ah, yes, the Village Urbain Pavilion, also in Laval. The sources describe it as unique, innovative, modular, and inclusive co-housing model.
What's the goal behind that?
It's trying to tackle several issues at once: aging, social isolation, and the housing crisis by bringing different generations together in these shared living setups.
It's accessible to the public.
Yeah, it's open year-round for tours, workshops, things like that. So it's a community asset beyond just housing.
Then there's La Petite Maison sur la Prairie in Pointe-Saint-Charles. Intriguing name.
It is. It's an innovative community project at 1295 Rue de la Prairie. What stands out is its focus on energy efficiency. Like really high standards, aiming for zero carbon certification.
That's impressive. And what's in the Petite Maison?
It houses 4 local organizations, and it's designed to work synergistically with the 52 social housing units built by Habitations La Prairie on the floors above it. So it's this layered community hub.
And finally, under housing, the Melham Grace Dart project.
Right, in Mercier Hochelaga Maisonneuve. That's the transformation of the old Grace Dart Hospital.
Are they keeping the old building?
Yes, the main historic building is being conserved and restored, but they're adding contemporary additions to create a 200-unit rental building.
And the focus there.
Modern, energy-efficient housing, but also the sources specifically mention an emphasis on common spaces and shared services for residents, creating that community feel again.
Okay, let's pivot again. Public spaces and urban planning innovations. Some fascinating stuff here. Work starting on Tétraville's Place des Commerçants.
Yes, in Mercier Hochelaga Maisonneuve. A significant project, over $3.3 million. And what's really notable is it was designed with citizen participation.
To revitalize the area's commercial heart.
Exactly, and specifically to honor the role women merchants played in the community's history.
Nice touch.
Yeah.
What will the space actually look like? Any details?
Oh yeah, quite detailed plans. A central round square, lots of benches, urban furniture, water features like jets, misting, a fountain.
Feels inviting.
Definitely. Plus adaptive lighting, lots of greening trees, shrubs, and these integrated draining projections.
Or rainwater.
Exactly, for ecological rainwater management, which actually ties nicely into another innovation mentioned.
Sponge parks.
Sponge parks.
Yeah.
The sources describe them as basically smart green infrastructure, a response to extreme weather and managing rainwater better.
How do they work? Simply.
Well, the idea is pretty straightforward. These green spaces are designed to absorb a large amount of rainwater temporarily during heavy storms.
So it doesn't all rush into the sewers.
Precisely. It reduces runoff, lets the water infiltrate the soil naturally, and limits flooding risks. Simple, but effective.
And are these catching on?
Seems so. The sources say they're multiplying across Montreal, Laval, and Longueuil, a key part of climate adaptation in urban planning.
The Beaconsfield Multifunctional Center also gets a mention.
In Centennial Park, yeah. Designed to boost cultural life, but with a real respect for its location near Lake St. Louis.
How so?
The integration is key. Lots of wood architecture, green roofs, rain gardens, even bioremediation systems. It's all about harmonizing with nature.
And it got recognized for that.
It did. Won a WAN Awards 2025 prize.
Now, switching to street design, an update on Rue Sainte-Catherine-O's pedestrianization. That's been a big topic.
A very big one. It's such a major commercial street. The sources note the city actually reviewed its initial strategy.
The one for permanent closure between Peel and St. Mark.
That's the one. Apparently there was criticism, concerns were raised, so they took another look.
So what's the plan now? Are they backing off?
Not entirely, but they're shifting approach. The plan now is to test future pedestrianization projects progressively, instead of just going for a big permanent change all at once.
More cautious then. Iterative.
Seems like it. Testing the waters, maybe, based on feedback.
But despite that caution, we are still seeing a lot of streets becoming pedestrian zones for the summer.
Oh, absolutely. Summer 2025 is looking very pedestrian-friendly in spots. The sources list quite a few.
Like where?
Well, Place du Ville and Place Royale are closed off until September 2nd, Avenue du Musée until October 13th, Rue Sainte-Catherine East in the Village, that's until October 14th.
And other popular spots?
Yeah.
Like Mont-Royal?
Yep. Avenue Bernard, Avenue Duluth East, sections of Avenue Mont-Royal at different times into the fall, Rue Wellington, Promenade, Ontario.
St. Paul too.
St. Paul is already pedestrian, actually, until October 31st. And Rue Sainte-Catherine West in the Quartier des Spectacles is closed through summer. It definitely paints a picture of a different city experience in many places.
There's also that bold pilot project mentioned, the cul-de-sac neighborhood in Centre-Sud.
Right, on Rue de Rouen, explicitly inspired by Barcelona's superblocks.
And the goal there is?
To really discourage through traffic by car, make it harder to cut through, aiming to improve safety and quality of life for the people living there.
Sounds potentially disruptive for drivers. Any mention of pushback?
They do note concerns raised by local merchants. That's often a point of tension with these kinds of projects, isn't it?
True. How are they actually implementing it, physically?
It starts with the school year, fall 2025. On a 300-meter stretch, they're blocking 3 intersections with concrete strips.
Just to stop people using it as a shortcut.
Essentially, yeah. Especially given its proximity to bridges and tunnels. It forces cars to turn around, making it primarily for local access.
Okay, let's shift specifically to mobility and transport.
Yeah.
Because the sources had some surprising numbers about biking.
Didn't they just? This was striking. Up to 24%, nearly a quarter of trips during morning rush hour in central districts are now by bike.
24%. That seems really high.
It does. Think about it. Almost 1 in 4 commutes in the busiest areas on 2 wheels.
Where are we seeing numbers like that?
The Delorimier district, that's part of the plateau, hits 23.7%. Incredible. And then there are about a dozen other sectors: Plateau, Rosemont, Verdun, Ville-Marie, Ahuntsic, Villeray, Hochelaga, where it's between 10 and 17% during morning rush.
So what does this suggest about the city's cycling infrastructure efforts?
Well, the sources frame it as positive results, that the investment in bike networks is paying off, contributing to a safer, maybe more pleasant city for active transport.
And speaking of the network, there's work on a key link between Outremont and the Plateau.
Yes, extending the bike path on Chemin de la Côte Sainte-Catherine up to Avenue du Mont-Royal.
Filling a gap.
A crucial missing link is how it's described, integrating a sector that wasn't very cyclist-friendly before into the broader network.
There's also major repair work on the Promenade Fluviale, that long path along the South Shore.
Right, that started May 12th. It's that 13.4-kilometer path connecting St. Catherine and St. Lambert, running through Delson, Candiac, La Prairie, Brossard.
What's the timeline for repairs?
It's in 2 phases. Phase 1 is May 12th to August 15th, between the Estacade Bridge and St. Lambert. Phase 2 is mid-August to early December. That's repaving between the Estacade and St. Catherine.
Is the whole thing closed off while they work?
No, thankfully. The sources specify the Estacade bike path itself stays accessible throughout, so you can still cross the river there.
And this repair work is tied into a big international event, isn't it?
It is. The UCI Road World Championships are coming to Montreal in September 2026.
And this path will be used.
The modernized Promenade Fluviale is said to host some events. And the sources mentioned this will be the biggest event Montreal's hosted since the '76 Olympics, so upgrading the cycling infrastructure is pretty key.
Okay, moving beyond the concrete and asphalt, the sources also touch on nature, culture, community services, things that shape city life. The Eco Museum Zoo.
Yeah, in Saint-Anne-de-Bellevue, it gets highlighted for being unique. It's the only outdoor zoo on the island of Montreal.
And it only has Quebec animals.
Exclusively. Mammals, reptiles, amphibians, fish, all native to Quebec.
And they do a lot of education.
A huge amount. Over 35,000 kids a year through programs like mini explorers, guided tours, even animal breakfasts, connecting kids with local wildlife.
Nice. And spring, summer. That means the return of migratory birds. Always exciting.
The sources definitely capture that excitement. Montreal region is apparently the most prolific in Quebec for birdwatching, 350 species.
You don't have to go far to see them.
Nope. Near downtown, parks, Mount Royal, the St. Lawrence Islands, lots of accessible spots.
Which birds were noted as back within the time frame of these sources? Late May.
Let's see. Red-winged blackbirds and Canada geese were back in March, robins and snow geese in April, and by May, the swallows had arrived. A nice reminder of the nature right here in the city.
Did the sources recommend any specific spots for birdwatching?
They did. Technopark Montreal, Mont Royal, the Îles du Saint-Laurent, Parc Nature de Cap-Saint-Jacques, and Parc Nature de l'Île de la Visitation were all mentioned as great sites.
Okay. A new Quebec TV channel also features Native TV.
Yeah, this is interesting. It established itself with Quebec's ethnocultural communities, and now it's expanding its focus towards the Francophone African audience.
And it's growing fast.
Remarkably fast. Since getting its license about 20 months ago, it went from 100,000 subscribers to 2.3 million.
Wow. What kind of shows are driving that?
It's a mix, local Quebec stuff, but also shows imported from Cameroon, Senegal, Angola. And the sources make an interesting point.
Which is?
That compared to big platforms like Netflix, there aren't many tailored offerings specifically for Francophone African audiences. So native TV seems to be filling a real niche.
There's also a brief mention of the Irish Monument Park. Historically significant.
Very. At the foot of the Victoria Bridge. A tribute to the 6,000 Irish immigrants who died of typhus there in 1847.
And it's been redeveloped.
It's been transformed through landscaping into a site for reflection, celebration, cultural transmission, honoring their memory.
And St. Joseph's Oratory, a major landmark, obviously.
Absolutely. Presented as a symbol of faith, culture, gathering, gets over 2 million visitors a year.
And they highlighted the new Welcome Pavilion.
Yes, which is LEAEID, Silver Certified. High environmental standard. It's designed to blend into the landscape, uses recycled materials like stone from Mount Royal.
And opens onto gardens.
Terraces, green roofs, sacred gardens. It sounds quite integrated.
Finally, a very practical community resource mention for the plateau area.
Right. A guide for residents in precarious situations, listing resources like food banks, collective kitchens, community cafeterias.
A good reminder that urban planning isn't just buildings and roads.
Exactly. It's also about ensuring access to basic necessities and support.
So there you have it, a real deep dive into this diverse range of developments and news just from those Infodrone sources covering late May 2025.
It really gives you a snapshot, doesn't it? The different scales of change happening all across Greater Montreal.
From huge towers to tiny neighborhood parks.
And how the city is grappling with growth, climate change, mobility, all at once.
These sources really offer a fantastic lens for understanding this dynamic landscape.
Yeah.
We hope this helps you get informed quickly.
And remember, platforms like Infodrone, especially that library section, are great for exploring these topics further on your own time.
What's fascinating to me, looking at all this, is that interplay
between the massive real estate expansion, Laval, Griffintown, and these very targeted initiatives.
Exactly. The neighborhood projects, social inclusion focus, the environmental resilience efforts like sponge parks.
Yeah, it's quite a mix.
So the question becomes, given this vibrant mix of big projects, community efforts, changes in how we move, how will all these individual developments together shape the future identity and, the livability of Montreal's diverse neighborhoods over the next few years?
That is the compelling question, isn't it? Something to watch as these plans continue to unfold.